Alright, fellas, it's time to take a look at the second episode of the day, which is Superstar. Buffy and the Scooby Gang are hunting vampires in a graveyard. When they discover a nest, they decide that there are too many to fight, so they go to Jonathan's mansion to ask for help. Later, at Giles' place, Jonathan checks out weapons and even practices hand-to-hand with Buffy. Willow uses her computer skills to find a floor plan of the vampire's lair, but she can see only one way to enter it. Jonathan quickly finds a better way. With a plan in mind, Jonathan passes out weapons, hands out assignments, and wins a chess game with Giles. At the crypt, Jonathan slays the majority of the vampires, which leaves Buffy feeling inadequate in comparison. Jonathan reassuringly tells her it's okay, as long as you do your best. As they leave the crypt, Jonathan is ambushed by paparazzi. He senses Spike hiding in the shadows and calls him out to trade insults. Jonathan wins the verbal battle with Spike, while Buffy's at a loss for words. Spike, interestingly, refers to Buffy as Betty, as he does for the rest of the episode. While putting pictures of Jonathan up on a wall, Willow and Tara talk about the fight earlier that night and Buffy's relationship with Riley. At Riley's dorm room, Riley tells Buffy he's feeling better and is no longer taking the drugs the Initiative was feeding him. Until his superiors tell him that the food that the Initiative is no longer doctored, but to be sure, Riley still doesn't eat it. Buffy jokes about her poor basketball skills as a way to cover the fact that anytime he tries to touch her, she moves away. She leaves, cutting the conversation short. Buffy meets Jonathan at the espresso pump to give relationship advice. Jonathan thinks Buffy's so angry with Riley for sleeping with Faith while she had swapped bodies with Buffy. Jonathan advises Buffy to forgive Riley for not realizing that he was really sleeping with Faith instead of her. While they are talking, one of Jonathan's fans, named Karen, asks him to sign a copy of his book for her. Colonel George Haviland is the new commander of the Initiative, but he yields to Jonathan, who is consulting with the Initiative on how to find and destroy Adam. Jonathan knows that Adam never eats. By examining Professor Walsh's diagrams, he learned that Adam has a uranium-235 dry power source in his chest. Jonathan explains that the demon cannot be killed by decapitation. He must be annihilated completely. Outside Jonathan's mansion, the fan from the coffee shop, Karen, is trying to get another glimpse of her idol, using binoculars to do so. While spying, she is attacked by a grotesque long-armed demon in the rain, but manages to escape and run away, terrified. At the Initiative headquarters, Riley seeks advice from Jonathan about his relationship with Buffy. Riley echoes the same concerns that Buffy expressed to Jonathan earlier at the coffee shop. As he tells Riley not to worry, that people don't only see what's in front of them, Jonathan nonchalantly dons a blindfold and raises a pistol to shoot apples off the heads of 3 Initiative commandos. At the Bronze, Jonathan sings on stage, Rat Pack style, while Buffy and Riley take the dance floor. When Jonathan finishes his song and plays the trumpet, Sandra and Anya, very turned on by Jonathan, leave to have sex. Buffy lets Riley know that she forgives him and wants to move on with their relationship. A still terrified Karen goes to the Bronze to find Jonathan, comforts her and takes her to his mansion for safety. Buffy and Riley follow. At the mansion, Karen describes the monster and draws a picture of the triangular symbol on its forehead. Jonathan recognizes the symbol, underplays its significance. He says the monster is little more than animal and not harmful, and promises to take care of the matter. As Jonathan leaves to take her home, Buffy looks puzzled, noticing his evasiveness. Adam sits in front of several television sets at his lair. When he sees Jonathan on the screens, he knows at once that these are lies, and that Jonathan has cast a spell. Adam claims to be more awake and alive than any human or demon has ever been. He says no need to do anything about Jonathan because these magics are unstable. At Jonathan's mansion, 2 blonde girls, Inga and Ilsa, call for Jonathan to come back to bed. He drops his robe to reveal a triangular symbol on his shoulder, just like one of the monster that Karen had described. Buffy, Willow, and Tara are walking on campus. Buffy says that Jonathan seems scared when he recognizes the symbol. Willow protests that Jonathan is never scared. To prove his bravery, Willow reminds Buffy that she had presented Jonathan with a class protector award at their senior prom. Tara then leaves Buffy and Willow to go to her dorm room. On the way to her room, Tara is attacked by the same monster that attacked Karen. She confuses it with a spell and hides in a supply closet. The next morning, Tara identifies the demon by the symbol on its head, and Buffy has even more reasons to question Jonathan. Buffy stops by Xander's place. He's not there, but Anya lets her in. Xander has a collection of Jonathan comic books and trading cards. Buffy questions how Jonathan could be so perfect, and I asks if a person could wish that the whole world would be different. Based on her experience as the Vengeance Demon, Anya answers yes. She then starts to point to Buffy by describing that there could be a world without shrimp, even entire worlds with nothing but shrimp. Buffy calls a Scooby meeting at Giles' place, where she expresses doubts about Jonathan. She doesn't know how he started the Matrix without ever leaving Sunnydale, or he graduated from medical school when he's only 18. She asks her that Jonathan might be too perfect, but none of them can see her point. Eva Riley thinks her ideas sound like nonsense, but having learned to trust her, encourages everyone to follow her lead, in spite of the Scooby's lack of trust in her abilities. Look at Justice's copy of Jonathan's swimsuit calendar to see the monster's mark on his shoulder. Jonathan arrives and explains that he does have a history with the monster, and becomes very confused every time he faces it. He says that he had the monster's mark tattooed on him so that he would not underestimate it next time. Buffy suggests that the two of them go after the monster. Jonathan says that it's probably out of town, but agrees to try to find it with her. While searching a cemetery, Jonathan and Buffy meet Spike. Buffy threatens Spike, telling him that the butchers in town respect Jonathan, and Spike must be extra thirsty for blood if he doesn't give them some information. Spike tells them several vampires have been kicked out of a cave by something probably pretty big. Back at Giles' place, Willow finds the mark in a book, learning that Jonathan did an augmentation spell to make himself a paragon of all that is ideal and great. The now says that the spell must create an opposing force of evil to balance the new force of good. Giles concludes that if Jonathan's monster was killed, the spell would be broken in the world, including Jonathan, revert to whatever he was before. Anya says that Jonathan won't want Buffy to get very far in her quest. Jonathan and Buffy go to the cave mentioned by Spike. They see a deep pit, and Jonathan reaches for Buffy's hand. For a moment it appears he may intend to push her into the pit. Instead, he grasps her wrist and reminds her that they are hunting a monster. The monster appears and knocks Jonathan out. At Giles' place, they again considers what the world would be like if the spell were broken. Willow can't believe that Buffy was actually right, and Xander dislikes the idea. Giles says the world will be the same, except that the super Jonathan won't be in it, making them all sad. Riley's afraid that if Buffy can't kill the monster, they would be stuck in their alternate reality forever. Back at the cave, Jonathan recovers and attacks the monster, but with little effect. He tells Buffy that she will have to do the fighting. He explains that the more she hurts the monster, the more Jonathan will succumb to his true nature. Buffy's fighting skills suddenly improve. The monster almost knocks her into the pit, but Jonathan tackles her from behind and the two fall in. Buffy grabs Jonathan's ankle, saving him, while the monster falls. A band of white light passes through Sunnydale, erasing all the signs of Jonathan's celebrity status. The next day, under a tree on the UC Sunnydale campus, the Scoobies reflect on how things have changed. Xander misses the way Jonathan made him feel about himself. Riley says that in the alternate reality, he felt way too tall. Buffy sees Jonathan standing alone at a distance and walks over to join him. Jonathan explains that he learned the spell from a boy he met during counseling after his attempted suicide. However, the boy failed to mention that the spell would produce a monster. Buffy warns him not to fix things all at once, and that things take time. Her advice to him was reminiscent of the advice he gave Buffy regarding her relationship with Riley. Buffy and Riley are kissing on his bed, and Buffy jokingly moans, "Jonathan." Wow. So anyway, let's take a look at some continuities surrounding this episode. Buffy goes to Anya for advice about alternate realities. During Anya's first appearance at the Wish, she created the Wishverse reality. Anya mentions a world without shrimp and a world entirely of shrimp. This will be referenced again later in Triangle, Underneath, and Family Reunion Part 4. Jonathan reveals Adam's uranium power source as his weakness, which the Scooby Gang will exploit to defeat him in Primeval. Jonathan mentions the thing with the bell tower and the gun, a reference to when Buffy saved him from killing himself in earshot. In the alternate reality, Buffy gave Jonathan the Class Protector award. At the prom, it was actually Jonathan who gave Buffy the award. In the alternate reality, the Scooby Gang saw Jonathan crush the bones of the Master and blow up the Mayor in his ascended demon form, which were done respectfully by Buffy in When She Was Bad and Giles in Graduation Day Part 2. The immediate prequel to this episode is Jane Espenson's comic Jonathan, codename Comrades. The world being changed and everyone's memories being altered foreshadows the events of season 5, where Dawn shows up and everyone falsely remembers her as always having been there. Interesting. So let's take a look at some production notes from this episode. The opening credits have been modified to center on Jonathan performing some heroic acts, such as defusing a bomb. The end sequence is a shot of Jonathan with a flowing cape, similar to the last shot of the opening sequence from the Angel series, rather than the usual power shot of Buffy. Jonathan's singing voice is supplied by Brad Kane, who played Tucker Wallace in the episode The Prom. According to Jane Espenson, Buffy is supposed to say, "I'm just kidding," over the end credits at the end of the episode. Oh, okay then. And now finally, let's take a look at some pop culture references. Jonathan performs the Nimzowitsch Defense chess opening. Sorry I mispronounced that. Anya reads in Jonathan's book that he invented the internet, in reference to the popular rumor that Vice President Al Gore falsely claimed to have done so. He in fact never made such a claim, and the actual credit belongs to Vince Cerf and Bob Kahn. Anya mentions examples of vengeance wishes on ex-boyfriends, including, "I wish he was a dog, or ugly, or in love with President McKinley or something." Buffy mentions that Jonathan supposedly starred in The Matrix instead of Keanu Reeves. Xander says that Jonathan coached the U.S. national women's soccer team to win the 1999 FIFA Women's World Cup. In reality, it was Tony DeCiccio. Again, sorry if I mispronounced that. Xander compares the monster to kryptonite, the fictional substance that could harm Superman. The book about the talisman that Willow reads mentions Le Petit Aubert, an 18th century grimoire of natural and Kabbalistic magic. So overall, I think this is a pretty interesting episode with a little bit of alternate reality mixed in. So yeah, I kind of like that. So overall, I give Superstar 3 vampire steaks out of 5. Anyway, tune in a bit as we take on the final episode of the day, Where the Wild Things Are. So, until then, here endeth the lesson.